Hello, everyone. This is Travel This Week with Kerwin and
Sure.
excellent. He's actually paying attention these days, which is really good. So, welcome to this new episode. And a few weeks ago, we did an episode with a friend of mine, Ricky Shetty, who was, and actually still is, stranded on one of the Philippine islands. And this is kind of an extra episode. So, because we talked about the Philippines, but we didn't really give you a background on the Philippines and aviation in the Philippines. So this episode is connected to that. And we're going to leave a link in the show notes so you'll be able to reference the episodes of Ricky being stuck on the island. And he got stuck on the island because the Philippines closed all the airports and anything that moved, including their boats, the little cars, the tuk-tuks, everything. Unless you had your own car, you couldn't go anywhere. So let's start talking about the Philippine Airlines. And then, Kusha, how many airlines are in the Philippines?
So, as Cohen pointed out a little earlier, we had this interview with Ricky scheduled, and that got me interested into learning more about the air travel industry of the Philippines. And I was surprised by what I found out. I didn't realize Manila was such a busy airport in Asia, considering that the country is not that geographically large in terms of landmass. It's got hundreds and hundreds of islands, I know, but the airport, Manila, for instance, is number 18 in the busiest traffic airports in Asia, which is
Wow.
actually pretty substantial given all the airports in China and other larger countries. But there are, well, it depends what airlines you really count, but there are 7 large commercial airlines
Okay.
with some international service in the Philippines. Of course, the big one is Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific, but I was also surprised that Philippine Airlines Express was considered to be a separate carrier.
Oh,
And then there was SebGo, which is Cebu Pacific Regional, the equivalent, again considered to be separate.
but
And
that's
then there's
interesting.
also
What?
Philippines Air Asia
Oh, okay.
and
I was saying that.
Skyjet.
I was saying that that's
So
interesting that Seb Go is not a part of Cebu Pacific.
no, they're completely different.
Huh.
So, so it's
So
considered to be a different um, carrier because they have a different code,
yeah,
an
yeah.
airline code. So,
So we had
but
Philippine Airlines, we got Cebu Pacific, we got
Pacific,
Sebgo, Air Asia.
yeah. Then there's Skyjet, which is a very small airline,
Yeah.
and Philippine Air Asia.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
the other
And
one
PAL
was
Express, Philippine.
the PAL Express. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
So,
Have you flown into
but
Manila yet?
yeah, sorry,
Have you flown into Manila yet?
Manila. Manila is number 18 in the 2018 passenger rankings of airports in Asia, and on a worldwide basis, it's number 39
That's
in the
pretty
world, with
okay.
Atlanta being about 100 million, 110 million passengers a year, and Manila being about 47 to 48 million a year. Surprisingly, it's about comparable to Houston, IAH, with
Uh-huh.
about 47 million. So,
That's a lot of
um,
traffic.
but Manila carries almost twice as much traffic as all the other airports in the Philippines combined. There are between 60 and 70 commercial airports in the Philippines, among all the hundreds of islands. Manila, of course, is the busiest,
Mm-hmm.
and Cebu is the next. Then there's Davao, which is third, and Angeles, which is fourth.
That's interesting.
Again, all these airports, the traffic there is minimal when you compare it to Manila Ninoy Aquino International Airport. But still, Philippines is a hot tourist market, so
It is.
a lot of these tiny little airports are gateways to beaches, for instance, in Palawan and Boracay. So they get a lot of international tourist traffic there.
Yeah, because when
And go
when I
ahead.
when I flew in, I flew into Manila, and then we stayed in Manila for, I think it was 2 nights, and then we flew very early in the morning to Legazpi, and
Okay.
Legazpi is south of Manila, and we flew in on Cebu Pacific, and that airport is actually also served by Philippine Airlines, not the express but the major, and
Mm.
it was packed. It was very, very packed. And so you're right.
I
There's a lot of
guess,
international traffic that comes into the Philippines.
can you guess the busiest route to Manila from overseas
Um,
in 2019?
Manila, Hong Kong.
Yes, yes.
That was a guess, folks.
But also very surprising that Manila Seoul Incheon has 7 carriers on the route.
Wow.
7. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But I guess the Philippines is a popular destination for Japanese, Chinese, and Korean tourists,
Yeah,
especially.
and
So
it's because of the weather. I mean, it's a tropical country, so
yeah,
that makes it really ideal. Um, that is pretty amazing that there's so much traffic. And if you think during the whole COVID thing, now Manila Airport is closed, so
yeah.
so
And
nothing
this,
is.
of course, includes Delta, but that is supposed to start this year. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
if they will use Seoul, Manila, because I think they've moved from Narita, apart from the Haneda operations, to Incheon, where they've got
Ah,
Korean,
yeah.
their partner in SkyTeam.
And if you want to get to Manila from the U.S., you can take. Is it Manila Guam that United does?
Yes,
Yeah. So you'd have to
and
do.
Philippines
Yeah.
from LA and San Fran.
So you
And
do
I'm not sure
only.
if they still fly to Las Vegas.
Sorry, say it again.
I'm not sure if Philippines still flies to Las Vegas as a tag or if it's a non-stop.
Uh,
Um,
that's a good
I
question,
forget.
but that's something we can check and put a note in there. But yeah, so this gives you an idea of when Ricky said that he was stuck in the island. Nothing was moving. Matter of fact, one of my virtual assistant lives in the Philippines, and he sent me a note yesterday and said today, May 31st, is the end of the lockdown, and it was supposed to have been, I think, early in the month, but they were still having issues, and so I don't know if it's going to be extended beyond May 31st. It might be, but they're probably going to have some kind of slow reopening. So we'll keep an eye on Manila Airport and see what's going to be happening there. Now, although these airports are closed, they still have traffic, but it's cargo traffic. It's just not passenger traffic.
Yeah, and a few repatriation flights, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. Um, wow,
But
that
that's
is.
the extent of my little research into the Philippines.
Oh no, that's good. So you need to get to the Philippines. It's an
Yes,
amazing,
I
amazing
do.
place. It definitely is. So hopefully we can all go check it out once all this crazy stuff is over. But thanks for doing that research, because this now gives us an idea about the Philippines and the airports, and how important air travel is to this region of the country.
So,
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, Kushro. That's good. And remember that this, once you've gotten this piece of information, make sure you go over and listen to the episode we have about. I'm gonna put a link to it about Ricky being stranded in. Is it Romblon? I think is the island. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, being stuck in Romblon. It's very interesting when you
you
hear
feel
that.
perfectly happy though.
Oh yeah, I mean, and now he's posting on Facebook and he's drinking. His thing
Oh, he
now
is?
is, yeah, he's drinking a different juice every day, and so he's doing that, like banana and some mango or something like that, or mango and pineapple, or pineapple juice or mango, things like that. He's drinking, so he's just making the most of it, right? That's Ricky for you. So great, Krisha. Well, thank you very much, folks. This is the end of our episode. And don't forget to, you can subscribe and on Apple and Stitcher and Spotify, and also leave a comment for us. And because when you leave comments for the podcast, it moves higher in the rankings. And if you like it, please share it with your fellow aviation enthusiasts. So once again, this is Kerwin and
For sure.
signing off for this tour
Thank you
travel
for
this
listening.
week. Oops.